So I want to make sure that this episode is as holy as possible because we about to get into it.
Because I don't call it witchcraft as a noun.
Ooh, I like that.
But witchcraft, which craft are you using to get to your ultimate end?
Oh, we're gonna get into all of this.
Goal.
All right, for those of you who are listening, that beautiful melodic voice. This is one of those episodes. I want y'all to watch it. I wish y'all could smell it. This man smells like an 850 credit score. The skin is glistening. I feel like I should have got, of all days for me not to wear makeup again. I swear to God. It's raining here in Southern California.
I didn't wear any either, so
You don't need any, sir.
Oh.
Unlike what they told us in Tony, it does rain in Southern California. It's a dreary, rainy day. But I came in and you feel like the sun to me. And you guys, I know you're going to fall in love with him by the end of this hour. This is actor, writer, minister, and LGBTQ plus activist / advocate, because you be out here preaching your ass off.
Yes.
Pun intended. And Ben, I want you to tell people sorry, this is Benjamin Carlton. I don't want to make sure I get his name right, but I call you Ben. I call you Pastor Ben, but you're a minister. As someone who is not as holy as you, is there a difference between a pastor and a minister?
Yes.
Explain that to me, because I have you my phone as Pastor Ben. And I was like, but he's a minister.
So, whatever denomination you may be, there's different roles you can play. Mm-hmm. And so a pastor's job is to shepherd the flock. So you're a pastor of a church, a ministry, you are the shepherd of the flock. A minister is someone within the flock who has duties that assist the pastor in achieving the goals of shepherding the flock. So, ministers lead different ministries. So I can be the minister of music, the minister of the arts, the minister of, there's executive ministers, executive pastors who handle the administrations. So there's different roles. There's the evangelist that goes around and preach.
The evangelists, they scare me. We'll get into that.
Oh, wow.
You know why? Because a lot of times when I hear people who are being evangelists, they're saying amazing things, but I've met in my personal history those who did not necessarily respect boundaries. And so I have questions with you around the way that you show up, because every fear that I've had around the church does not show up when I'm around you. And that's a testament to you being godlike in your actions and not just in your words.
Yes.
So you guys, now that I have the language right, it's Minister Benjamin Carlton. Yay! Let's clap. We have a studio audience who's watching off to the side. You guys know Chef Jeffrey. Jeffrey likes to eat, so we're going to eat with him after the show. Now, the first thing I want to ask you is, when is your birthday?
March 22nd. I am an Aries, and I am celebrating all month long. And I'm so excited to get to celebrate my birthday with you.
Pew, pew, pew,
wow.
I actually am so excited that it's your birthday month, because I was like, wait a minute, 22 is my angel number.
Oh, wow.
I know. Isn't that magical?
Yes.
And then I was like, wait a minute, when's his birthday? Because something told me that your birthday was coming up soon. This episode is probably coming out like right around your birthday, probably right afterwards. So this is going to be fun.
Yes.
The first thing I want to ask you is, are you one of those people who celebrates every single day of the month of your birth? You thought I was going to have a hard-hitting question? You were not expecting that.
No, it wasn't. Not every day, but all month long.
Oh, you're one of those.
Like last year, I spent a month in Paris, Amsterdam, London.
This subtle flex is brought to you by, this is why he smells like 850 credit score, guys. This is exactly why you smell like money.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, how are you able to travel so much and not get exhausted? Because when I travel a lot, I get sleepy.
Yeah.
How do you keep your energy?
Well, to me, the world is my backyard. And so when you treat the world as if you're going down the street, like I had to get dressed to come here. So when I travel, I throw my clothes in the bag, get there. I don't travel as a tourist. The world is my playground. So when I'm there, I'm engulfed in culture. I'm engulfed in the elements and, all the things that the space has to offer. And so that's how I de-stress it. I don't go with an agenda. I'm just there.
I don't go with an agenda. I'm just there is bars. And I think that's why I found myself gravitating towards you so much. I met you at our other friend, Jeffrey. Yes, guys, we know a lot of Jeffreys. A birthday party. It was a short set birthday party. You walked in and I was like, who is Cat Daddy Martin Luther King? I was like, what is going on? That's what you originally were on my phone. It said Cat Daddy Martin MLK with a party hat.
And it was a similar short set that Martin Luther King did wear to the beach. That famous short set that he's always wearing. That was the same style. Short shorts, all the things.
Now, this is a thing that you...
Not that I was trying to channel Martin Luther King,
but that was my first
I just
impression
thought
of
about
you.
that.
I was like, if Martin Luther King was a cocoa buttered cat daddy in modern day times, it would be him. They're like, that's Ben. I'm like, I need to meet Ben immediately. Like, I knew I wanted to meet you. You were shiny.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think a lot of people are shiny. You know when everybody loves you and you be like, oh, y'all cool, y'all cute, whatever. But one of the things that was interesting is, as I got close with you, you invited me to hear you speak at church, and I couldn't make it. And so you sent me a link, and I'll never forget it because I like to listen to podcasts and audiobooks while I'm getting ready. I'm in the shower listening to your sermon, and I let out a praise yelp.
Oh, wow.
And I think I texted you. I said, Ben, I don't know what the hell's going on, but you anointed. I don't want to swear because YouTube be I'm like, that N-word is anointed. My question for you is like, when did you know you were anointed though? Because a lot of people do, you have Instagram, you have Beyonce's internet. Yes. A lot of folks want to be holy. They want to be pastors, ministers, whatever. They want to have a flock. But when you talk to them, you're like, I feel like you were a scammer. Yeah. You feel like somebody who's anointed. Is that something that was told to you or something that you recognize for yourself?
All the things. Oh. So I knew I was called in an early age. I knew I was called to love.
Oh, I love that.
Didn't have a religion behind it. I was just love. I would, I always say I was the first person to do the crate challenge. When I was in like first grade, I would set up the crates in my backyard, make a podium, and I would preach to my friends.
Are you serious?
Open the Bible, pick a scripture, and just start, in the beginning, God created, I didn't come from a religious family. My parents were heathens. Wait a minute,
hold on, pause. You don't come from a religious family?
Not at all. We didn't go to church every week when I was a kid. I chose to go to church myself at age 12.
Oh, you were chosen for real?
Yeah.
So you said your family were heathens?
Heathens, baby. We did church. I went to church with relatives.
You do know how to party, though. You do know how to party.
Because
Ben knows how to party, y'all.
Yeah. And so preached, and I was love, elements of love, and went to church at 12. Everyone would say there's a calling on you. And I'm like, you should be up there. You should be. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I was just saying I'll do this. And I preached my first sermon at 16 and couldn't even get through the sermon because the power of God fell on the service. And when I saw one of my heathen best friends, now he I love him to death, he was laid out crying. I said, oh, there's something in me because this boy is not emotional at all.
Yeah.
And so for him to be crying like this, it ain't me.
What's his name?
His name is Timothy, my best friend from Philly.
Oh, shout out to Timothy for being the first one to let you know that you had a gift.
He did, because I said, ooh, wow. It's not fake here.
No, it's not fake tongues.
Yeah.
And you know what's so interesting when you talk about being anointed is I love what you said, that you came from a family that was not deeply steeped in the church, and yet your calling found you.
Yeah.
I feel so much kinship to that because my family was deep into the church. And when I started having prophetic dreams and saying, hey, grandma came to me in a dream and predicting things. When you're a witch in a house full of church folks, that can feel kind of off for you too. Yeah. So it's kind of funny, like you and I had the yin and yang version of each other. Your family probably would have loved me making predictions like, yes, let's take her to do lottery. My family was like, no, we're going to pray on her.
Facts.
That's the devil. So
they would have ran you around Philly.
I would have been a hometown hero in your family. We should have switched families.
Yes.
My family was like, my middle name is Emmanuel.
Oh, wow.
So that's how churchy my family is. And so in Spanish, my name is Maria Emanuela, which means Mary Emmanuel. So if my last name was Joseph, I would have been the whole nativity scene. And it's interesting because anointing, we think about it religiously, but as someone who's psychic, I felt anointed as well. And so my question for you is, how did you get to a place in your religious journey where you could make room for those of us who are on the other side of the spectrum, who I would think that you'd be the person who have the biggest problem with me, and you welcome me with the biggest arms.
Yeah. Well, one, I have prophetic giftings as well.
Oh, so you're one of us.
I interpret dreams.
Oh, I love this.
I would have dreams about things that happened before I was born and would talk to my mom about them. She'd be like, how did you know that? I had a dream. And so now I was at one point a Bible thumper, a terrible judge, a condemner, all the things. And so the psychic, the witch, get thee behind me, Satan.
I've heard that a lot in my life. I've heard that a lot at church, yeah.
But I came to California once. Well, not once.
You live here now.
I live here.
The world is your oyster. You live everywhere.
Yes. Came to California. One of my friends who's another Christian was like, you got to talk to this psychic. Her name is Shirley, and she's on point. You got to talk to her. And I'm talking to her, and I'm skeptical, right? And she starts naming my grandparents how they were in my life. She was like, your mom's mom came in and then she left. I said, yeah, that heifer. She's not emotional. She's not coming to comfort me and pat me on my back.
Not at all.
She said, but your dad mom is here. I said, she was my best.
Oh.
She, if you had a boo-boo baby, she's rubbing it. She cooked you food, the grits and the fish, and she was a
matriarch in the real sense.
And so, but she said, you were in a quick relationship. And she said, she did that. And she was like, his name is and she said his name. I said, get out. I put her out her own office.
That's hilarious.
Get out. And we did a whole session. Once she said that, I was very open and receptive. And afterwards, and I was like, yeah, I'm a minister. And she bawled crying. She said, I am judged and condemned by Christians. And the way that you sat here and received me and received my flow let me know that I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, because this was a love session. And she bawled crying. And so I have no respecter of person when it comes to God using people, number one. And if there can be prophets and people who predict the future and people who watch the stars to find Jesus in the Bible, surely my neighbor who has that same gifts should be received in the same way.
See, that made me emotional. I'm going to make my tears go back in my eyes, because I feel like if the churches that I was a part of when I was younger had welcomed me in that way, I wouldn't have left. Right. Yeah. And so people are always like, Blue, I've even had a couple past life readings. I know it gets really magical over here. And I had somebody offer me a past life reading. She was like, I feel like you've been in the church in several past lives. And she was like, and you were condemned by the church in a past life, and it broke your heart because you were so devout. And so in every life since then, you find yourself yearning for the church, but also feeling ostracized by it. And I was like, that's exactly how I feel. Like, I love ritual. I used to love lighting the candles. I was in the front, like doing the body and the blood of Christ. Like, I love that stuff. But it's the people and the judgment that broke my heart. And so when you hear stuff like, and you sent me a link that I thought was so perfect. There's a couple of links that we're going to talk about, because this line that you sit on between the secular and, the holy.
Well, I am a whole human.
Thank you.
Not just religious, but what I will tell you and maybe give you some comfort.
Yeah.
The church is the one who crucified Jesus.
Ooh.
So surely if the church can crucify its Christ,
then who am I to think? Who am I?
Who are me? Who are me? Who are me?
Oh, God, I love you so much. The next time you have a sermon, you have to invite me.
Yeah.
This time,
March 18th, I'm actually preaching.
Really?
Yes.
I actually will. What time? Around what time?
12:45.
I'll come.
Yes.
I think I might come. I have family that's leaving that day, and my friend who's coming into town that day. But I think I can actually make I can have to run right afterwards. But I will actually come.
I won't keep you long.
No,
in and out.
I love hearing you speak, because you speak in a way that this is gonna sound cocky. You know, when you hear yourself, you're like, you about to pull your peen out on these people. Okay, let me reel it back, because I'm too comfortable with you, Ben. I forgot we were on camera.
Child, I didn't look over here one time.
I the camera the entire time. I feel like we're just kicking in the backyard like usual.
Yes, I'm feeling the studio audience too. They're vibing.
Yeah, look at the studio audience. The studio audience loves this. He's also very hungry, but like, when I talk, I know myself, and it's just me regular talking. And then I'll look at someone's face and be like, did I strike a nerve? And they'll be like, you don't know how much I need to. I'm like, really? I really didn't say that much. It's not that serious.
Yes.
And I often, when I was younger, I was like, am I a sociopath? People are reacting in a way that I don't think is warranted.
Yeah.
There are very few people in this world who make me feel the way that I accidentally make other people feel. You're one of those people.
Wow.
Like, when I hear you speak, I'm like, I fuck with him heavy. I needed to hear that. And I can tell that it's like a throwaway that you don't even think is a big deal, but it speaks to me. And so I want to know what you think, because I actually respect you as someone who represents the church in the way that I think it should be represented. When there are folks like, and there's several examples here. Let's get right into it. When it was a CeCe Winans clip that recently went viral, fix your face. But you knew we were going to talk about this. CeCe Winans recently went viral because she decided to share with her congregation out of nowhere that she once refused to be on Whitney Houston's I'm Every Woman because of the lyrics, I can cast a spell. And she basically thought it was demonic and chose to not be part of a pop culture classic. Ben, explain this to me, because my first reaction was to roll my eyes. What do you think about people who are that literal and who are that quick to diminish everything that someone's trying to do based on a coin of phrase, even if they know the intention is pure? Because she admitted she knew Whitney's heart and still chose to die on that hill.
Well, first of all, that question and that situation is so layered, and I want to take it piece by piece.
Let's do it.
But based on the questions you have, because I know you have more questions that deal with this. And the first thing, people have been made to feel that who we are intrinsically as African-centered people is demonic, right? And that everything that in the Bible is pure and right, but not realizing everything in the Bible is stemmed and steeped in African culture.
Won't he do it? Y'all witches too. Sorry, go ahead.
I can cast a spell, right? Well, what does it mean when we speak those things that are not as though they are? What do we call it?
Yeah.
We call it faith.
We call it faith.
But you're actually casting a
spell.
But we've been taught to read all of that as demonic and bad. When I'm manifesting, right?
Yep.
When I'm calling my ancestors,
when
right?
You're praying.
When I'm praying, right?
Yep.
What am I doing? I'm casting, if you look up the definitions of these things, at its purest, right? Not its altered, but its purest. I'm casting. I'm speaking something as not as though it is because I want it to fall in my favor. Oof. Whether good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Because we pray for people, we pray for our loved ones, we pray for our enemies.
The power of the tongue.
We pray for, right? If I'm, oh Lord, give me this job, give me this job. If I'm praying for the job, that means I'm praying against the other 100 people who want the job.
Ooh, you're casting a spell, only you can tell. Ooh,
only you know, and what about all the times in the Bible where God used a man or a woman to get something done?
Yeah.
Right, because that's all that song is about.
And that's funny that you mentioned that, because I was in our last episode that I was talking to someone. I think it might have been Bridget. I mentioned to her, I was like, sometimes when I run out of grace and I have to keep it real and be honest, I tell myself, maybe God's using me right now. Sometimes God uses you to be a lesson for someone, and it can't always be pleasant.
Yeah, not at all.
Do you think there's a reason why people who are in the spotlight do not approach it from that stance? Because that stance to me is nuanced but completely accessible. Anybody who's been studying, I would think, should know these things. Why do you think it's easier for them to go after Whitney Houston, or even that lady who said that Beyonce, anybody in my congregation who goes to a Beyonce concert, you're going to hell? Did y'all see that? I was like, excuse me? What, does she owe you money?
I mean, if I ended up in the lake of fire from going to Renaissance, I have some issues with God.
Thank you.
Now, I didn't live this good old life, and you're going to send me to hell because I'm shaking my tail at the Beyonce concert?
To church girl, ironically.
What type of God is this?
That's the question. That's going to be the title of the episode. What type of God is this? Because I wonder whose God are some of these people talking to. I'm like, he don't sound very nice.
Because it's not mine.
Yeah.
It's not mine. Because even Church Girl, the church went crazy over Church Girl.
They lost their minds.
And the artist who was involved, they said, leave Beyonce alone.
I have so many friends who were in the church who felt seen by that song. I had friends who were like, you don't understand, my entire life, I've just wanted to be a good girl. I've gone to church, I've done the right thing, and I've done it to my own detriment at times because I wasn't honest about what I really wanted. Yeah. And do you think there's an opportunity in the modern day church to create space for folks to be more honest about what they want?
That's what's happening now, right?
Really?
We're going to see a shift in church and religion over the next 20 years, right?
Really?
Because younger folks, Gen Zers and even younger, are not accepting the intolerable practices that pit one group against the other and denigrate you for just being who God created you to be.
Yeah.
Right? And we are not just in the faith-based space, but in culture space. We are adopting more of who we are and denouncing the things that have been ingrained in us and that we've been indoctrinated to believe, right? For too long, we have been defining ourselves based on the slave master's dictionary.
Ooh, yeah.
We've not come to terms with who we really are, our true power, right? They say that, you know, witches are demonic, following the stars are demonic, channeling our ancestors are demonic. Jamal Bryant saying lighting incense is demonic. I'm like,
Jamal Bryant needs to know that having an affair on your wife several times is demonic. But go ahead.
It's easy
to
punt and pit on the things that actually connect us to our power.
Incense? I was burning incense in the shower when I was listening to your sermon.
Child.
Wait a minute.
But I'm going to hell for it.
I'm going to hell?
All the things that connect us to our true power, we don't necessarily need to have that man be our voice, but we can actually connect to the divine ourselves. It's a master's mentality, and that's how we were introduced to Western and Eurocentric religion, was from the master's mindset.
I could have this. We're definitely having dinner after this. We are definitely going to have our shots off camera so the church aunties won't get mad. But one of the things that I love that you touched on is the fact that church has been weaponized against Black people for so long.
Yes.
A lot of folks who follow both of us know that we're passionate about being Black and also being queer and also being spiritual.
All the superpowers.
All of them.
Because, baby, the indigenous communities honored people who were able to tap into masculine and feminine.
We would have been deities. Like whole deities. Seriously.
Are.
Demigods, if you will. So my question is for you again, because I'm so fascinated by how proud you are as a same gender loving Black man. That's a very loaded sentence.
It is. So many intersections.
In the church.
Yeah.
How, Sway? That's my next question. How are you here? How did I burn you at the stake? Yeah. How did the church aunties not poison your punch? Like, how did your church family feel when they realized that you were same gender loving and that you were also more open-minded about the secular world? Like, how did you even approach that conversation?
Well, for the religious folks, I was Paul on the road to Damascus. And I had to have an experience where God blinded me. And in that blindness, God removed all of the narratives that told me I was less than. God removed all of the narratives that told me that I was an abomination and I was going to hell. And God revealed in that time, it took about 2.5 years, 3 years in that time to reveal to me who I was and why I was created to be here. And when I show up in my authenticity and show up in my power, you may not like me. You may even disagree with who God created me to be, but you cannot deny the power of God that is within me. You cannot deny the feeling that you feel when I speak with you. You cannot deny the impact of the words that God are speaking through me when they show up. Now, you can deny me. You can deny who I am. You can deny who I love.
It's
but
hard
you
to
cannot
deny
the power that plenty of people do.
Really? They're lying to themselves.
Most
One of the things I'm realizing is that people will sometimes lie to themselves about how much you inspire them because they don't want to admit how much power you possess.
Yeah.
And I've watched that happen a couple of times recently where folks that I was rooting for, I realized were in competition with me. And I was like, oh, honey, that's cute. I'm up here minding my business.
Minding.
My entire business.
Thing.
I hope you got what you needed because I have a surplus, right? Yes. And so one of the things a surplus, this extra, take the leftovers. You, whenever you're around mess, have this beautiful way of kind of flittering away from it. You're like, oh, really? Well, I'm about to go get me a snack.
You said you've looked up a couple times. Now, where is Ben? Ben has left the scene.
And Ben's in the corner somewhere having a drink, having a good kiki, dancing to Beyonce, minding his business. And I love that. I think that was the moment when I realized, I was like, oh my God, he's me. Because there have been so many times where things will get messy and I'm like, oop, I got to go get me an edible. Yes, y'all know this is a 420 accepting show.
Yes.
By the way, being anti-witch, being anti-gay, being anti-fat, being anti-420, it's also anti-Black, right? And I don't think people, in particular in Black churches, realize how much of the rhetoric that they are succumbing to is anti-Blackness. Yeah. In slave times, they told us that we had to pray for our joy in the afterlife because they didn't want us to find joy in this present life and
because
and
they
find
stole
freedom.
Our joy. They took our God from the earth in which we were in relationship with. We didn't worship the earth. We were in relationship with the earth. They took that from us, uprooted us, put us on their, well, not even their land, their stolen land, the sacred land of others, and then threw our God in the sky and said, you pray for a better afterlife, but you're going to make a great life for us here.
You're going to be a great slave now, Billy Bob, and then you can have your happiness when you're dead. Yeah. There's something so sick to me about how Black joy is always people are always trying to squelch it for the sake of commodifying it and using it for something else. How do you feel when you're in hyper masculine Black male spaces? And the reason I'm asking this is because we had a previous guest who, the most New York person I've ever met, he's from the block, shout out to Cheech, and he has a gay mother and a gay son. And people were stunned in that episode that a straight Black man could be loving towards his queer son and his queer mother. And I asked him, I was like, what is it like for you in the barbershop? And then I remember thinking, Ben's going to come on. I want to know the same question. What is it like for you as evolved as you are? Because you are highly evolved. You stretch the average Negro, let's be honest. So when you're in the barbershop and everybody's just kikiing or whatever and being problematic and saying crazy stuff, how do you react in those spaces?
Well, first of all, similar to Cheech, Jay-Z's mom is the one who softened his heart to the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And so it always takes somebody close to your heart for you to say, well, I can't really hate you, so I got to accept you, so let me be
I love my mama, so maybe it's not so bad. Yeah.
Let me be open to, exploring other ways of believing and accepting people's human experience. I'll have to tell you, I was deathly afraid of the barbershop. As a kid, I was deathly afraid of the locker room.
I don't blame you.
I was deathly afraid of the basketball court because I could compete with you in school. Got all the A's, but when it came time to playing sports, as big as I was, people always think I was a football player. They would choose me to be on the team and then be like, you gotta go.
Why?
You gotta go.
You were not good?
I was awful.
Really?
Not an athletic bone in my body.
Oh,
And
that's
so
hilarious.
I was always afraid of hyper-masculine spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I became an adult where I became comfortable in being who I was. And I said, it's nobody but the divine who did this to me, because knowing how deathly afraid I was of these spaces.
You wouldn't have done this to yourself.
God called me to co-found Be Me Community, which is the largest social entrepreneurship network for Black people in America. But we started out uplifting the positive stories of Black men around the country. So I had to be in rooms with hundreds of Black men telling them to be their true selves.
Your biggest fear, and you had to confront it.
I'm sitting right in front of it. And it is the thing that literally catapulted me to where I am today. God calls me to face that thing. And so when I realized that I could be loved and accepted, right? Because that's what most of us want, to be loved and accepted by those who fear us. I was at a conference in D.C., and I came out to my friends and family in 2014, end of 2014. It was a typical Black Thanksgiving coming out.
Oh, wow.
But the next year, I said, well, let me test this thing. Because I couldn't be, persecuting the LGBTQ community one moment and then on the internet talking about I got a boo.
Right, like, hey, y'all, I got a boyfriend.
Tell this story. And so at our conference, we did a conference in D.C. every year, the Genius Conference, Be Me Genius Conference, and 100, 200 Black men from around the country there. And I came out to the room.
Live?
Live in front of everybody.
Oh, you brave. I would have admitted like a Zoom call. Everybody calling at 3:15. I got something to tell y'all. You did it face to face.
Face to face. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
Aww.
And literally afterwards, there was a line of Black men ready to receive me, love on me, tell me they love me. One guy pulled me to the side. He said, I'm very homophobic.
Oh.
I don't want to be around them, but I cannot deny you. I cannot deny the love I have for you, and I cannot deny you as my brother. Today, you have changed my life.
Wow. Okay, I just felt a shiver. You are amazing. That's not one of the questions. No, seriously, this is why I adore you so much, because you're a living testimony. And I've been saying recently that my mantra for this year is basically, well done is a better compliment than well said. Yeah. And people who speak beautifully but who do not act the way that they're supposed to act, or act the way that they say they will act, they've broken my heart too many times. And so I watch people. It's the people who I can say well done to after I've said well said. They're the ones who are impactful to me. And I've seen you in galas. I've seen you at a kiki in the backyard. I've seen you in your short set. Like, every place that I see you, you're consistently you. And there's something so beautiful about a Black man holding that space, because if you were a woman, I don't think it'd be that notable to me. I think I'm used to seeing women be allowed to be like that, and also you also being a how do I say this? A safe space. Now, when it comes to Black men and mental health, we've talked about this several times on the show. I actually am working on something. I would love you to be a part of it, because I want to have a roundtable conversation with Black men about their mental health and the way they relate to each other. How do you safeguard your mental health? And I'm asking you this because I don't want to get too far into it, but you recently dealt with a loss, and I'll let you decide how much of that you want to share. And I was stunned when I saw you right afterwards. Your light was still there. I'm going to start crying. I don't always have my light when I go through a loss. Like, I get dim. How did you maintain your light in the middle of that heartache?
Well, one, I have to say, I appreciate you for seeing me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to cry. Can somebody give me a tissue?
When you saw me,
yeah,
you said, you are so brave. And I said, oh, wow, she saw me.
Yeah.
Because I lost my dad on January 1 of 2023.
Yeah.
He and I did not have the best relationship, if a relationship at all.
Oh, wow.
I actually said, when he dies, don't call me.
Wow. Really, Ben?
And they called me.
Of course they did.
Of course.
Because they knew your heart.
Yeah.
They knew your heart.
I said, don't call me. And me and my sister really went back and forth. We were stressed out because I was in Thailand. So they had to wait until I got back. But in that, I'm slightly narcissistic. He's all the way narcissistic. And so he would.
I know I'm pretty, but my dad is convinced he's pretty.
He would die on January 1. So now every January 1, I have to remember him as much as I. So
a peacock.
And so for 2 weeks, me and my sister were stressed out because we were going back and forth for whether we were going to show up.
Oh, wow. You really were considering not showing up.
Yeah, I've said it forever. Don't call me if he die. I'm not interested. What I had to realize, everybody had a different piece of him. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we had the ugly piece of him, me and my sister. But my cousins had their Uncle Ben. My mom had her former lover.
Wait, his name is Ben too?
I'm a third.
You're a third?
Yeah.
So your namesake passed away on the first day of this year.
Yes. Now, just like me and who I am, when I do eulogies, it's fun. Because I want to remember the good parts, right? We're not here to be sad. I'm here to celebrate. So eulogize my aunt, who was like a mom. Eulogize my Pop Ben Sr. And he was so envious of that moment that he tried to have an argument with me after the funeral.
Because the eulogy was too nice?
It was too nice.
My
You don't really know him. I knew him. I only knew the him I know. I don't know what happened between you and him, but I only knew the him. That was my pop.
So your daddy was a little petty.
Oh, yeah. Petty Peter was his name.
Who gets upset that the eulogy for their father is too good?
Who gets upset that the eulogy, I got some choice words for you. You ain't really know him. Sir, stay away from me.
What? Demon, I cast thee away.
Don't you call me again.
Okay, this is hilarious, but it also shows you how the most amazing people come from very unlikely places.
Yes.
So what happened when it was time for you what made you decide to actually show up?
So I wanted to have the last laugh.
You know what?
He's Petty Peter. I'm Petty Peter too.
Oh, Lord. Petty Peter the third, probably.
I'm Petty Peter the third. Oh, my grandfather was Petty Peter Sr.
That is hilarious.
That man was nuts. But he didn't like that I was queer. Mm-hmm. He didn't like that I succeeded in life without him. He wanted to take the credit for a lot of things. And I'm like, sir, you were never here. You don't get any of the credit. Mm-hmm. I was on Netflix's Dolomite with Eddie Murphy. And
you were?
Went around. Yes.
Now I got to go watch it again.
Scene that was cut.
Oh, I know that feeling.
It was a club scene, but anyway. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could sit and talk about this town. But anyway, I had to get a call. Hey, superstar. I said, who is this? Your father. My father who? Stop playing. Stop playing. Who is this?
Papa, can you
It's
hear
your
me?
dad, Ben. Oh, hi. But just like that, I think it's not He Can't Jump. Whatever that movie where Denzel Washington and the basketball player was
White
in.
Men Can't Jump?
No.
No, not that one.
I can't remember the name of it.
He Got Game.
He Got Game.
Okay.
And Denzel showed up after he got famous. That was that moment with my dad. But I decided to show up, being petty aside, because I wanted to show people what love was. Because everyone knew our dynamic. Everyone knew we didn't like each other.
They had their popcorn ready.
But I wanted to show that this is what love looks like.
Yeah.
This is what grace looks like. This is what forgiveness looks like. Realizing as an adult, he was heavily impacted by the crack epidemic. Mm-hmm. He and so many others weren't even in control of the decisions that they made. And most of it wasn't their fault. It was, we could go back and track the government, systemic, all the things. But I wanted to show folks what grace and love look like. And everyone was so nervous about what I would get up and say.
Were you a little bit nervous too?
Oh,
because Peter
that was about the
on your
10th iteration of that speech that I gave. It was about the 10th one because I had some choice words for him.
The
and other
first draft was probably a good kikito.
Ooh, it was.
The first draft was like, I've been waiting for today.
I've been waiting. So happy to see you here.
How old was he?
Ain't that something? Maybe 63.
Oh, he was a baby.
Yeah, he died with heavy amounts of cocaine in his system.
Ben.
Yeah, they found him on the bathroom floor.
Okay, I'm not gonna cry again.
But I walked around with shame
Why?
because, and it's something I had to let go, and maybe someone else can resonate with this. The great Ben Carlton's dad was a cocaine addict.
Yeah, I get
The
it.
great Ben Carlton's dad was nearly homeless, living in a house with no utilities. There's nothing I could do about it. But the fact that that was tied to my story, I always told a story where he wasn't involved. My dad was in jail since I was 5 years old, in and out of jail. And so when I would tell the story, I would tell about my stepdad, or I would tell enough, but I never had to include my dad because I was ashamed of him and his story. And one of my good friends, Shaka Senghor, you may know of him.
Oh my God, I interviewed him.
Oh, wow.
That's so small world. I've been around.
He said,
He's amazing.
You have to stop judging your dad based on his worst deeds.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And stop connecting with him based on his worst deeds. And after that conversation with Shaka, I began to see my dad for the human he was.
You humanized him?
And not
Plug.
yes, and not expecting him to be the dad that he would never be.
He became a man.
Yeah.
And not just your father. You know, it's so wild. I have a friend. I'm not going to say his name. I almost did. Stop. He was brilliant. In high school, he was the smart. I went to a school for gifted kids. He was the most gifted of the gifted kids. Even the teachers were all in love with him. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he could be president someday. He's so brilliant. And one day we were all on the bus and there was a homeless man just drunk. I'm like, oh, who's that? Like, and he was like stumbling towards us. And they're like, that's his dad. And it hit me and you could see the shame on his face. And I was like, this bright, shiny, the most amazing of the amazing, but down the street from your school, your dad is drunk on the street corners while your friends are walking by him. And I remember in that moment, I had never seen a boy, because I was a girl, so I'm used to socializing with girls. I've never seen a young boy respond to that kind of shame. And so when you say that you felt shame, it hits me in my core because I know what that looks like. My friend never healed from it. How did you figure out how to heal? Because there's a lot of folks who are listening right now who have a lot of pain around their dads, right? And we have a lot of male listeners who don't get credit sometimes. They low-key be listening on the low, trying to get some tea.
Yeah. And
men are very, very, very sensitive about father issues. I think that's the reason why so many toxic period male podcasters are big, because Kevin Samuels was a father figure for a lot of those guys. How did you find a way to parent yourself in his absence?
Well, one of my mentors and also the founder of Be Me, Trabian Shorters, he corrected me once when I would used to say I didn't have a dad or a father figure. And he had me go down my life and mention all of the male figures who impacted my life.
It's a blessing.
Oh, wow, I was surrounded by empowered men. My grandfather was a very successful entrepreneur, turned a $25 warehouse into $1 million business. That was your male role model.
Oh, wow.
Right? You didn't have your physical dad, but you had so many others, right? Whom you could learn from, glean from, be examples for you. And so I stopped trying to, but this wasn't until my adulthood, I stopped trying to get my dad to be who I wanted him to be and accept him for the human he was.
Yeah.
Though messed up, though complicated, that's him.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my worth, because I always thought, how come we weren't good enough to keep you out of jail? How come we weren't good enough for you to shape up and do right?
Why didn't you love us enough to like stick around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the moments of sitting on a stoop, waiting for him to come, and he'd never come. Promise he'd made, never kept. But I had to I sat down and talked to former people who have struggled with substance abuse.
Recovering addicts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I had conversations with them about their life, their
It's an
decisions.
illness.
It's an illness that for our community was untreated, was intentionally set. And so I began to get a better understanding of his struggles and forgive him and not take it personal, because I took it all personal. He doesn't like me. He doesn't love me. I'm not good enough. I'm gay. He doesn't want a gay son. All the things that went through my mind, I had to let all that go, stop expecting him to be the parent that he would never be, and just accept him for the human that he was.
I've been through that journey, and it's not easy, but it's also not impossible. And a lot of times when people have been through really complicated things with their guardians, their mothers, fathers, whatever else, it translates into how they feel about being a parent themselves. Are you at a space in your life where you would ever see yourself wanting to be a father, or would you just want to stay Uncle Ben?
I want to be a dad. I want to have a son of my own seed, but it's expensive right now, and the world is ghetto, and I don't know. I don't know. You know, everybody wants. You know, we have this false obligation to legacy, and I want to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
What is your legacy, broke? You brought this child in, and they're gonna be broke, and they're gonna be broke.
Ben said y'all legacies is broke kids.
What is your legacy, broke? You have no legacy. You have no inheritance. You have no land. You have no home. What are you forced? There's so many children who can be adopted. There's so many people who have kids and don't want to have them. Like, stop being in a rush to fulfill some false obligation to legacy and seed. And that's Eurocentric. That is what they did. You know, you're not royalty.
Dave Chappelle once said, you know, when he looked at his kids, he was like, "Wow, you came from my balls." And I remember seeing that scene. Like, I think a lot of men, it comes down to that. They want to see a child that came from their balls. And you're saying, but like, legacy can be much bigger than something that on the nose and trite. Now,
so while I want children, I'm being strategic about it.
Earth is ghetto.
Earth is ghetto.
So wait a minute. If we're going to talk about kids, this is the part where we segue to the key. I think we've already started with the fact that some of y'all broke with y'all legacies. How does one date as you? And I'm asking that because, look at your face. You were like, as me? Yes, you. The reason why I'm asking is because somebody once told me we were having a great debate about something. It was a really good, rigorous debate where you're like, oh, it was like playing tennis. And at the end, he was like, Blue, that was a great conversation, but I think you might be too deep to date. I said, excuse me? He was like, I can't imagine myself dating somebody who could go back and forth with me like that. And for a while, too deep to date haunted me. Like, do I need to play stupid so I can get some dick? Like, what's going on? So, that makes you kiki. So my question to you is, I could very much, friend, see you, because, you know, this is LA. No disrespect to LA. We love it. We love it here. It's our chosen home. But some of the children run shallow. Some of the kids,
they're the CEOs of shallow.
Some of the kids, you know, it's in the shallow end of the pool. How do you, especially in Los Angeles, date holding up the amount of energetic real estate that you have?
It's very difficult. Because
it's ghetto.
It's ghetto.
Yeah.
And it's simply because I'm used to vibrating at very high levels with high vibrational people.
Yes, you are.
It's a very small group of folks in any space that you're in, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm often seen as deep. I remember someone said, "Oh, you know, you're a minister. Your sex is going to be boring." I said, "On the contrary, my love. I know how to minister to your needs."
I had to look over to Jeffrey. Everybody in the studio was like, "Come through, Cat Daddy, minister."
And I said, "Oh, well, on the contrary, anyway." So
did they take you up on that offer?
No, they didn't.
They were scared. They were like, "No, minister just got nasty with me."
It's like I'm not allowed to be human because I walk around as a man of God. I'm not allowed to be sexual. I'm not allowed to have fun. I'm not. What you doing in the club? What you doing in the club? We here together.
We in the same club.
We in the same club having a marvelous time. Can we just dance and be?
Oh,
and so
I know
people
that
see
feeling.
that in me first before they see the human in me. But when I connect with the high vibrational person, they see the spirit, they see the human in me before. But it's very hard to, you know, you kind of have to find those spaces because most high vibrational people aren't hanging out in the club and on the streets, and it's just.
And if they're in VIP, ignoring general pop. Yeah,
it's not, and it's not an elitist way of thinking. It's just how we connect. I did a focus group a couple weeks ago, changed my life.
What happened?
Because generally I'm used to hanging around folks that are like me, but to be in a focus group with people who are all different.
The hoi polloi, they would call it in Latin.
Wow.
The common man.
If I really want to have impact in the world, I'm going to have to dumb down a lot of what I say.
I did not know.
Because intelligence is at an all-time low. Audacity is at an all-time high. And no one is willing to reason with one another based on our different beliefs. And so we're so strong and hardcore that people can't accept that I can be a black queer man of faith and be all right.
And also want to have some sex.
And a lot.
Yeah.
And good.
I believe you.
And worth talking about.
Wait a minute.
Because I'm human first, but for any of those, before I'm even
you.
black, before I'm even a queer person, before I'm human, we have needs.
That's why I wanted you on the show, because I was like, I think Ben is the exact kind of person who needs to be humanized, because I could see people treating you like this, like shining light, this orb, this deity. And I'm like, no, he probably wants to have sex and kiki and have a good time too. So you have a similar problem that I have. And for me, what I've started doing, I don't know how much it's going to work now that I'm doing the show weekly. I don't tell people at first what I do when I think I'm attracted to them. I act like I work for the bank. They're like, you use a lot of big words for somebody who works for. They be like, what do you do? Why do you act? They're like, you just talk different. And I've been trying to see how that works. Do you ever sometimes not tell people what you do so that you can see if they can connect to you before they let the title freak them out?
I used to initially connect with people. Oh, what's your gram? Let's connect on the gram, right? I want to see what you look like. Oh, I stopped all that. I don't want you to see who I am, what I do, none of that. I want you to try to discover who I am without any of your preconceived notions, which is natural to who we are as humans.
Ooh,
when you
you
see a
stop
label,
giving out the gram.
Yeah, for people that I'm interested in dating.
That might be a life hack. I immediately give out my gram.
You know.
And then the conversation changes.
Yeah.
They're like, so what do you think about what's happening in Saudi Arabia? I'm like, wait, what? I thought we were going to smash. Like, people think I want to talk about the news and be deep all the time. I'm like, I'm a regular person trying to get laid and have fun.
Yeah.
How long do you wait to tell someone, all of you, if you are trying to get to know them on an intimate level?
It all depends on what they're bringing. If this is just a quickie and I'm out the door, there's no need. You don't even get my number.
The way your face told the answer before you said it, you were like, well, Blue, not everybody ever needs to know.
It's just
somebody gonna go to church on Sunday and be like, wait, is that pastor?
Did it happen before?
Has somebody gone to church
after? It wasn't at church, but it was like, I saw you preach, and I was like,
if a one night stand saw you at church, that is actually hilarious. Yes. That's a comedy.
And so
that's a comedy.
You know, not if it's someone that I'm interested in getting to know more than just, you know, our adult interactions, then we talk.
Oh, I'm gonna start using that, adult interactions. All right, I realize that the time is winding down. This conversation is so good. We have to do. I said this to so many of my guests because I really do enjoy the people who come on the show. I think that your humor and them seeing that we actually, and they know me, they know I'm with the shits. So they're gonna be like, well, how's Benjamin friends with Blue? Because he's with the shits too.
And
seriously, we're gonna do a quick rapid fire of questions. Okay?
Let me get ready for this.
Question number 1: how do you feel about the word demon?
Demon, I believe, is. It all depends on your perspective on how you connect with religion. Mm-hmm. Because some people who call out demons are the demons.
Thank you.
Like the lady who called out Beyonce.
She the demon?
Ma'am, how dare you cast me to a burning fire
she
for
really
going
did.
to a concert? That's not God.
She tried to smite everybody going to Renaissance.
Demonic.
I think she couldn't get a ticket and she was mad.
She had been to a concert before, but that's demonic to send somebody to a lake of fire because you have a difference of opinion in how they connect to the divine.
So weaponizing the word demon when somebody inconveniences you, you're not a fan of that.
That's not God.
Because a lot of people at the church I used to go to would do that. Like, I would ask a valid question that made them uncomfortable. It's the demons, the devil's working in her. I'm like, really? Or is it just critical analysis?
Because a demon can't cast out a demon. So if I'm a demon, how am I casting out demons?
Ooh.
That's what the word says.
Yeah,
if you were true light of God, you wouldn't be calling out Beyonce as a demon. You'd be calling out the city council who just voted not to give the people in your community the resources they need. You'd be calling your state out for mistreating the queer and transgender people in your state. That's the demon.
That's a word, and it's also a great segue to the next question. Do you believe in exorcisms?
I do.
Yeah.
I believe that, we are energy that never dies, and sometimes that energy comes back in ways that aren't good for us, where we need to get that thing out. Right?
I was once stigmatized, and I felt like I needed an exorcism.
Absolutely.
Have you ever?
Spirits connect in the spirit.
I had some sex that robbed
ties
me of my mental capabilities. I don't know. That's why I don't like to sleep with cancers anymore. Because y'all, I'm scared of cancer penis. Cancers have very stigmatizing sex, and y'all can be like, Blue, how are you bringing up sex with exorcism? I really felt for that year. I was not of right mind and body. Like a sex demon had jumped in my body.
If you need 2 to 3 years to get over somebody, that is an exorcism.
That
is a
sex.
spiritual tie that is connected to your soul.
Have you ever had someone's sex put you in captivity the way I was, or am I alone here?
I don't think it was captivity. I haven't had anyone ruin my credit yet.
Oh my God, how do you know? It ruined my credit. It really
I counsel the folks.
Okay, so you know. Okay, yes. we'll talk at dinner. This is it's giving dinner conversation. I'm like, who dickmatized blue? Mind your business. All right. Could you date an atheist or an agnostic? Well, that's a deep sigh.
I believe, I want to say no, but I also don't want to block love based on the difference of beliefs, because atheism, and I actually had a conversation with atheists the other day where I believe I converted them.
Oh.
Because I said, you operate in love, you believe in love, so love is your spiritual practice. You don't believe in God in the traditional sense,
good with the
institutional sense.
Yeah, you good with
but
the words.
Believe in love, don't you? So if
Yeah.
I connect with somebody that believes in love, God is love, we can do some things.
To me, agnostic is probably the easiest, because agnostics are like, I don't believe or don't believe. I just don't know what the hell's going on. That's a little different.
But the way that I operate, I need somebody to cover me in prayer.
That's true.
I need somebody of equal yoke to know that when I'm up, down, high, low, in and out, what to do. So yes, I probably not. I need somebody.
Could you
to
date
cover
somebody
me in
who's
prayer.
deeply spiritual but not Christian?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like God speaks a lot of different languages. Hindu, I'll take it. What's your favorite Beyonce song? That's the next question.
Crazy in Love.
Y'all really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I could jam to Crazy in Love. I sent Crazy in Love to like my boyfriends.
Really?
I would be playing in the car. I'd just play it, send it as a voicemail.
That matches
I
your
love Crazy in
spirit.
Love.
That actually matches your spirit.
Yes.
My
video, everything. It was, I love Beyonce. So
my current favorite, I think for me, is Cozy. Because whenever I hear it, I start like acting it out in the house. I'm like, maybe that's one of my songs now.
Heated is my fave on the
Let me tell you
album.
something.
But
when
Crazy in
Heated
Love is
comes
my
on in concert, I am concerned for myself. You know that me and Kenya, she was on the show. She told her herself.
Yeah.
Me and Kenya went and spent too much money. Well, not too much. A lot of goddamn money on Beyonce tickets on the stage. I feel like when Heated comes out, the Holy Ghost might jump into my body. Yeah. That
I'm
song.
so sad. I picked.
You sure don't want to come to London?
I picked Barcelona.
Barcelona?
But I have to speak the next day in DC, and so there's no flight that gets me there in time. So I have to figure out somewhere else. But yeah.
Wait, so you're not going to Barcelona anymore?
No, can't.
I feel like you should come to London.
I'll see what I can do.
No, you think I'm playing with you? I will put you in the suitcase. Look, if Kenya can't make it, I'm like, Kenya, give Ben a wig. Okay. This is Minister Kenya.
Yes,
Carlton.
it works.
Look, I want you to come to London. I feel like London's going to be a good kiki.
Yeah.
Shout out to the London folks. I'm seeing if I can do a podcast in London while I'm there for the Beyonce concert.
That'd be hot.
And the reason why I feel comfortable saying where I'm going, because I wasn't going to say it before, because people be having stalkers. She's doing like 6 London shows. Y'all know which one I'm going to be at, and y'all not going to find out until afterwards.
And if they can afford to get where you are, they ain't that bad.
You a rich stalker.
Yeah.
Because
you're a rich stalker. Stalk me, baby. Stalk me. I want you to stalk all the stalk you can do.
Right. Stalk me with your good credit.
Ooh. Stalk me with your presence. Stalk me with your
We
trips.
are a mess. Lord, this feels like we're in the backyard again. Next question. Would you ever have a sugar baby or be a sugar baby? Ooh, the pauses are pregnant.
Yes and yes. At this point.
Really?
Yes and yes.
Look, I think I've accidentally been a sugar mama a couple times. I once took somebody to get his haircut, and I was like, wait, why am I paying for the haircut? I was like, it was the same person who dickmatized me. Actually, I'm telling the same story.
That's about to say, if it's good, I'd pay for it.
Not anymore, though, because you're a man. I feel like as a strong black man, you paying for somebody is whatever. Me, I just feel like a mark.
Because the thing is, the way life is set up, I don't have time to be out here figuring things out. If it's good to me and doing me well, I'm good.
Then you're for it. Next question. What would you say to anyone listening who has felt judged by the church but is still seeking a relationship with God?
Ooh, let me turn to the camera. Where's
right.
the camera?
Give him his close-up.
You are on here, on this earth, with the purpose, on purpose. The divine loves you just as you are. The divine created you in the divine image. And however you have a relationship with love, whatever you call love, God, he, she, them, their, Buddha, Islam, however you connect with love, keep that connection for yourself. Because when we leave, we came here all on our own, and we're going to leave here all on our own. And you want the end to be determined by you and not by what somebody who was born thousands of years ago trying to tell you how to live and connect with the divine that is present today. So let all that go, do your own study and research, and find a way to connect with love.
Man, I love you. And I know that after listening to you, someone who's having a bad day probably feels a lot better. Probably like, what church can I find him at?
I'm at Renewed LA in Los Angeles.
Please tell. Also, I want them to know that they can find you at Renewed LA in Los Angeles. And also, Ben has a book. By the way, the title of the book, like, I cackled. I was like, Ben don't play no games. I was like, well, what's the book going to be called? It's called I'm Black, I'm Gay, I'm a Minister. Okay. Ben said,
straight to the point.
We going to get to the point. I think there's something so brilliant about that, because you're like, no, I'm not going to sneak this in. You have to receive me as who I am at the onset.
Yes.
And I really wish a lot of people felt that confident. The title of that book is Confident, because it's you saying, I'm not going to pander to the audience. They have the rights to come and meet me. Now, I want folks to make sure they can find you. Ben, what are all your handles so they can stalk you respectfully?
Ben Carlton on all the socials. I got off of Twitter. I'm not interested in Elon Musk.
Really? You're not on the Twitter streets anymore?
Nope.
Yeah, Twitter has been looking like a bad neighborhood. It's not being kept up.
Yeah, but Ben Carlton on Instagram and Facebook, and then you can download my audiobook. I'm Black, I'm a Minister, I'm Gay, on all the streamings, Spotify, Audiobook, all
And
the
you
things.
mentioned the organization that you're working with. Can you say one more time for anybody who's interested?
BME Community, bmecommunity.org. You can find us on the socials at BME Community. We do a fellowship every year where we connect Black leaders. So please check that out. This is our 10th year.
Congratulations. That's the number of mastery.
Yes.
10 years means that you've mastered something.
Our fellows have collectively raised $400 or $500 million to support the work that
wait,
they
what?
do.
Wait. They've raised how much?
$400 or $500 million to support work that they do.
This is my rich friend, y'all. This is why he don't mind being a sugar daddy.
And they have really adopted telling better stories about who we are and the communities that they serve. That is our ultimate purpose in helping Black people live, own, vote, and excel. And that spells love.
Oh, that's beautiful. The final thing before we wrap up, we talked about it earlier, legacy. It's become one of my favorite questions to ask folks. And I feel like your best legacy comes from what your friends say about you, right? The old saying is you die twice. You die when you pass away, and you die when your friends stop speaking about you. When you are no longer here with us in the physical realm, because I feel like you're the kind of person who's going to haunt people. You're going to be, ooh. Ben came to me in a dream, y'all.
And wore you out.
Wore us out.
Get it together.
With a prophecy. When you're on the other side, what do you want people to say about you? Because that's going to be your real legacy.
My 3 words. I loved. I laughed.
You did.
And I was light.
Aww. Feelings.
Yeah.
I love you, man. You have to come back.
Yes.
You guys know, as always, this has been Humanized. I hope that you were blessed by this conversation. See what I did there?
Yeah.
I'm so goofy. I hope you were blessed by this conversation. Please, please, please check out Ben on all his handles. He has a good time. He travels a lot. His stories be on point. And as always, you can find me at @BlueCentric. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, wherever else you can find me. Also, remember that we have the Own Thy Shift workshop that is coming up, ots20.eventbrite.com. We're going to do an 8-week workshop to teach emotional intelligence to the audience. And as always, please remember that we're all just human beings doing human shit. Be gentle with yourselves. Bye.